I've had this Neuton mower for some years now, I think 8 years or something. At the time, it was the top of the line. It's probably been superseded by lots and lots since then, but it still works great. Every once in a while, though, the mower starts to decrease in power, and that's generally due to the brushes, which are on the inside of the motor. And I'll just show you how to replace those. It's a couple of screws, and that's about it. I've undone the 4 screws in the outer housing. I've just done it loosely just to show you. There's 2 on the other side. Of course, take the circuit, I don't know what it's called, but the circuit connector off of the top. And there's the inside of the unit. You've got a circuit board over here, wires, etc. You should never have a problem with those. I don't know how they would possibly break or become undone. So if the power does fail, it's almost for sure the brushes here. The other reason could be the battery itself doesn't hold a charge. I've got a separate video talking about how to take out those 2 screws, how to remove this panel, how to put replacement cells into the unit. So have a look at that if you want to, if you suspect it's the battery. How do you know it's the battery? If you can get a multimeter, if you don't have one already, borrow one, etc., and just do a voltage test on the 2 cells and together, and just see if they read well above the specified voltage or not. If it's low, get new batteries, and you'll be in good shape. If battery's in good shape and it still is not working, it's almost likely to be the brushes. So there are 2 brushes on the motor, one here, one there, and they're not really brushes, they're pieces of carbon. That's what it looks like here. It's a piece of carbon with a connector from here to the end up here and a spring. And these transmit the electrical charge from the battery into the motor to turn the motor, okay? So the charge goes into, you can see these wires over here, the charge goes through through this cap, and it goes through this metal piece on the end, through a copper wire into the brush, and then that connects to the motor, okay? So, and then if the connection is good, then the motor turns and you can cut your grass. So these brushes, they do wear down. They're just like brake pads or lead pencils, basically, is what it is. And this piece here erodes and erodes and erodes, and it's offset by the spring. So when you put the brush into the motor, like into this slot right there, the spring will keep the carbon brush compressed against the head of the motor on the inside until there's no brush left. The carbon is all gone, and then you need to replace the brush. Sometimes the spring might just not spring enough, etc., but whatever. So all you have to do is remove these 2 there's 2 threaded plugs. Just you can see it's a straight head, so just straight head that out. Don't drop these, by the way. These are not metal or anything. They're breakable. I broke one, that's how I know. Just pull it out, and there will be in there, it might be wedged in. The brush itself might be wedged in there. So just gently take a screwdriver or something and just sort of pry around until this edge comes out, and then you can pull the whole brush out. In most cases, the carbon will be right down to nothing, and then take it to the local electronics shop and just buy the same size. There's a rectangular hole in there. I've done this before. I bought a brush that was too big. I ground this down on a grinder to the right size, and it worked just fine. But if you get the right size to start with, it's going to be much better. And then this the cap here has kind of 2 prongs right between my fingers, and those will slide into the ends of the hole. And I'll do a close up, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll just zoom in. Hopefully you can see in there. So there's the rectangular hole, and the little prongs just slide in to the top and bottom. Okay, so just now that I've got a little zoom in, I'll slide that brush in. I'm doing all this one-handed, so with 2 hands it'll be much easier. The metal prong is showing on the top. Just make sure that's positioned to fit into the slot on the hole that I just showed you. And I need 2 hands to do this, but press it in, and then while you're pressing it in, maybe take a screwdriver or something, get the first few turns of the threaded nuts in there, and then turn the threaded nut all the way in. So I've got the 2 new brushes in. Those are looking good. It didn't work, to be honest. And I did a voltage test on the battery and found that instead of 24 volts, the battery was showing something like 11. So the cells were dead. And these lead acid batteries, you can't recondition them, so you have to buy new ones. I got them on Amazon in Canada. They were about $75 free because I'm a Prime member, so about 55, 60 in the US delivered. Then fire it up. By the way, this is like a circuit. This is the unit that you pop into the top through the unit through a slot. It just completes a circuit right here. You can put it in. You don't need the cap on to put that in. Didn't work. So I thought, oh heck, I've got to do like a continuity test on all this wiring and stuff and try to figure out where the short is, if there is one. So yesterday I did this all off camera. I went up, I actually undid all this. I took all the screws out and just made sure that the connections all seemed to be working, and they were. I didn't do a video. You can figure it out. It's pretty easy. Then today I wanted to test the fuse, and if you look, there is a little fuse down there. I'll just zoom in right there. So I took the multimeter and put the 2 ends of the multimeter, the prongs in, to test for continuity. While I was doing that, I started the unit up, or tried to, and wouldn't you know, the thing started. So I figured, oh, it's the fuse is no good. I looked at the fuse, I visually inspected it, and the filament was still there. It didn't look black or anything, so it was surprising. Then I took the fuse out, kind of cleaned it off, rubbed it, put it back in, and now the unit works fine. So I think all along I've done all this work: new battery, new brushes, and a fuse, and it turns out there was a fuse. So look, that's a good little troubleshooting thing. Start with a fuse. Test it first because it's the easiest by far. Then test your battery with a multimeter. If that's okay, then it's probably the brushes, and you can see how I took those out, and it's actually super easy. Okay, and you can see there's not a lot of wiring on this thing. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The most complicated thing is probably the motor, and if the unit were to fail completely, you could probably just get a new motor, and I think at that point probably it's cheaper to just get a new Neuton. Anyways, okay, I hope that was helpful, and good luck.